very good afternoon to all of you. We welcome you all to our third session for the day, which is on management. With us today, we have a great set of people who will be discussing on this. Allow me to introduce you to our moderator for this session. We have Mr. Jairaj Menon, who is the Managing Director of Cranium HR Services Private Limited. He is a people enthusiast with about 25 years of work experience and 47 years of life experience. After working in companies like BPL Cellular, American Power Conversion for over 10 years, he set up his own HR service firm, which manages the end-to-end HR of its clients. He has specialized in setting up employee performance management systems apart from helping his clients strategically to manage their people. We welcome you to this session, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on to our panelists, with us today we have Mr. Harish Venkatachalam, who is the head of Total Rewards for India, Middle East, and Africa at Variant Medical Systems. And joining him in the panel, we also have Dr. Anil Rao Paila, who is the Senior Dean and Director at SP Mandalpuram Ellen Velinkar Institute of Management Development and Research in Bangalore. We also have with us Mr. Akash H. Khaturiya, who is a Project Manager Treasury at ICICI Bank. And finally, we have Nikon Madhu, who is a youth student at Rajagiri Business School, Kerala. We welcome you all to this session. We can't wait to hear the insights you all have to provide to us. Over to you, Mr. Jairaj. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gayatri. Management is a vast topic to cover in 1 hour, but fortunately, we have a very good set of panelists to help us out. The traditional courses in management typically used to cover marketing, finance, operations, HR, IT, supply chain, general management, etc. Are these enough for the future? Are they really taught well? Is a job good or is entrepreneurship good? These are some of the questions that we will try and find some answers with the help of our elite panel here. So to just get the ball rolling, let me start with a very, very fundamental question. What exactly is management? What does it typically cover? What are the jobs available in management? And I think the right person to answer this would be Harish. We could start off with that. I don't mind the other panelists getting in between and adding their bit once Harish covers his point. Over to you, Harish.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jairaj, and good afternoon to all of you. Hope you guys are keeping safe in these unprecedented times. Right, a great question to basically answer, and let's basically start from the ground level zero, right? So what is management? Now, all you guys might, people who might be attending this particular session might have some exposure to what management is, or at least a theoretical understanding of what management is, right? So let's go with the book definition. Management is basically getting things done, and that's clear and simple, right? Now there are a lot of factors, there are a lot of levers that basically get attached to getting that things done. So it's basically a skill of determining what the responsibilities that you basically have and how do you get that done, right? So there's always a fundamental question that keeps being asked, and that has been haunting. I wouldn't say haunting. That's a very tough word to use, but that has been questioning many researchers. That is management actually an art or science, right? So for me, management, I see it as a skill, neither an art or science. I see it as a skill. There are various skill factors that basically affect the way you manage stuff, the way you get things done. So that's probably it. So according to me, it's a skill of getting things done. That's how I would put management as.
Skill of getting things done. That's pretty well encapsulated, actually. Any change, any difference, or do you concur, Akash?
I agree to what he said. Management is basically getting things done. But traditionally, all we used to speak about is you need to work hard in your profession and you need to work hard in academics. I think now the time is changing, and rather you need to be a good mix of hard working as well as smart working. So today's management actually teaches you how do you do things smartly. As they say, you need to be a street smart person. So there have been some changes while I was doing my course. I just graduated in 2018. So I see what happens outside when I see people who are joining companies, who are joining along with me. There has been a shift in this word management. You just don't have to get things done. You just don't have to do things, but rather you need to work along well in a team. And as I said, you need to give smart solutions which are quick. Everything is really quick nowadays. You need to change. Like, this COVID, no one knew that we're going to get everything so digitally done. I work in a bank, and we never ever thought that we at a BFS in a BFSI sector will have to change completely. And because of this smart thinking and the smart way of doing things, the transition has been really very smooth.
Can you care to elaborate that a little? Don't not specifically with respect to COVID, but with respect to the changes. We will come back to this topic a little later on. But since you have already broached on that, can we um, just elaborate a bit? What changed and what happened to the management?
Like after I graduated, when I joined work,
No, no. You were saying that with the changes that happened due to COVID, there
right,
were changes in the style of management that was
right.
happening at the company that you were working in, which is ICICI, right?
Yeah, I'm working with
So
ICICI Bank.
just wanted to get a feel of what are the things that changed during these 4 months,
Like, see,
specifically this.
initially, my job in ICICI Bank is of a product manager. So it is very crucial for me. I'll talk to you about things pertaining to me and my team, because I would be able to elaborate a little more on that. So is to meet all the stakeholders across various departments, various branches, and the technology teams as well. Now that had to be done face to face. We never used Zoom or WebEx or the other applications that have just come into now. And initially, when this lockdown happened, it was really difficult in the first part. How will you do things online, because of a lot of data protection issue, because a lot of some confidential things that are available with banking employees. But again, as a team, what we decided is we developed our own application. Like, we don't use a Zoom or a WebEx. So something which was incorporated by the technology team very well. So smartly, all the teams now are able across the world. See, we do not just cater to Indian customers. We are present in 14 locations around the globe as well. So we are now able to connect depending on the time zone as well. So as I said, the shift has to be quick. And again, because the circumstances were so, we didn't take much time, and it's going really well. In fact, now working from home has become more of a habit, and we are also planning to take this permanently,
So you
because
are essentially saying that because of the quick thinking ability of your
yes,
management, you
right,
were able to understand, identify the issues that you
yeah,
have
right.
and course correct it,
and
right?
and more importantly, decision making for getting things done has become more important, because you do not need to wait for any decision to be implemented. So initially, if I want to implement something, I go to an authority, he goes to his authority, and it keeps going up and up. But now it's done quickly, because
You're saying
taking
these,
good decisions is important, but taking good decisions quickly so that there is no delay is equally important now. I think
cool,
it's really important to be very quick in whatever you do.
perfect. So you're saying
Yeah.
now
So
decisions are typically decentralized and quicker decision making.
Right, absolutely.
I'll just modify the same question to you, Harish. I think you were also
yeah,
you wanted to say
absolutely.
something about it. So let me phrase the question for a little more um, um, better answer to it. From the time you started working
Right.
to now, so now till pre-COVID, let's say, and post-COVID. So
Right.
there has been an evolution of management, right? So
Right.
from the
Right.
time you joined, perhaps, which was how many years back?
So I have a total career span of around 12 years.
12 years. So
Yeah.
um, 12 years of evolution plus another last 3 4 months of speedier evolution, right? So
Right.
can you throw some lights about what changed and what is the new norms now?
Absolutely. So uh, I've seen a drastic shift in the way that people start thinking about getting things done, right? So basically managing stuff, right? So, like I said before, it's a culmination of skills that allows you to architect your ability to get things done, right? So, what I see is earlier there was a lot of prominence given to academic knowledge, right? Professional knowledge that you basically gain from going into institutions that you develop in your younger days as a student, that you develop your knowledgeable skills, right? But I've seen a shift where organizations are now looking at people with better cognitive skills or better psychological skills. Now, what does cognitive skills and psychological skills basically encompass, right? It's like, for example, let's say adaptability. One very big change in the thought process of organizations that's coming today. How adaptable is their workforce? How easily can they basically embrace change, right? Like they say, change is the only constant. Earlier, now it was just a statement. Now it is basically becoming a reality, right? Every day is changing. You actually do not know what to expect the next day as it comes by, right? So adaptability is one thing that basically organizations are looking at. Secondly, your leadership skills, right? And I'm basically seconding to what Akash put forth some by. So it's the quality of decisions that you make in the evolution of change, right? So there might have been very good leaders in the past, right? But the ability to take that leadership skills or showcase that leadership skills in the event of continuous change is something that organizations are basically looking at this point in time, right? So definitely leadership skills. Thirdly, if I can put it, it's the emotional quotient, right? So when you look at unprecedented times, you will also see a lot of unprecedented things that basically an organization gets exposed to. Let's say, for example, and let's pick up one of the most harshest thing that basically has affected the Indian workforce today is the basic layoff scenario, right? Now we have seen layoffs at the time of recessions. We have seen layoffs at the time of economic downgrade and all those stuffs. But it's this the era of pandemic is something new that this generation is basically facing. People do not know how to basically react in a situation of a pandemic, and because of that, many organizations are looking forward towards layoffs and reduction in force, right? So the emotional quotient of an employee. So it's not easy to basically ask an employee to leave his job, right? So it requires a lot of emotional quotient, the way you communicate that particular news to an employee, the prerequisites that the organization must consider before they convey these things to an employee. So there is a lot of ask from the organizations to see their workforce get developed in all these aspects. So now I can see that the academic and your professional skills are taking a seat back. The more is how you basically learn with the fly.
So yeah, so essentially what you're saying is it is just not the bookish knowledge that is
Exactly.
required. It is more prominent skills like adaptability, leadership skills, and emotional
Absolutely.
quotient, right?
Absolutely.
These are the
Absolutely.
three things that you said. But how do one get these?
So that's what I'm saying. So these are not skills that can be taught. These are skills that have to be imbibed, right? Now that comes through experience. Now, how do you do this? It has so let's ask a question. And honestly, you cannot ask this question to an individual as how adaptable are you, right? For every individual, he's adaptable up to a certain level. It's about the behavioral aspect of a particular employee, right? The openness to accept the change that basically portrays that skill of a person being adaptable or not, right? So it's about understanding people, talking to people, embracing the change from being less physical contact to more online contact. That's basically happening in today's world, right? So you're indulging with in conversations less physically, right, or less face to face, than it's shifting into an online scenario now. Like, for example, this particular event, if you take it to consideration, there are probably thousands of people who are logged in on this particular interaction. If it was earlier, it would have been in a closed hall where people could actually see face to face and convey that particular messages, right? But now it's an online session, so you're embracing that change, but at the same time bringing people together. So So these are stuffs of these are examples, or these are ways in which you portray that behavior of accepting change. So honestly, if you ask me, it's not something that can be taught. It has to be imbibed from your experiences.
Perfect. Thank you, Harish. We have Dr. Anil Rao who has joined us. Welcome, Anil Rao.
Hi.
We've been hearing from the industry side, and they have quite a bit of challenge for you to address. So let me quickly reiterate what Harish was saying. So the last point that he was trying to make is in these changing times, it is just not academic knowledge that is enough. A lot bit of cognitive skills like adaptability, leadership skills, and um, emotional skills rather, are what is more sought for with respect to the management. That's something that he was mentioning. So I would like to know your thoughts about it. Just yeah, I think we could start with that, and of course, a preview to that would be what are the kind of current courses that are there in the bookish knowledge that colleges typically give. So I think you could start with that and then probably address this question as to academic knowledge versus uh, cognitive skills.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Jairaj. Thank you, YCC, for giving me an opportunity to be on this platform. First of all, management education or management domain, what we are talking about today, is an amazing domain which everybody aspires to get to. I understand that a lot of other courses are very niche to their specializations. But when it comes to management education, it is broad-based. It is more towards being a manager, getting to decision making. I think the corporate world also engulfs and invites management graduates to ensure that they have enough skills and are ready to take up the various aspects of business per se. So while I'm talking about management education and in today's times, the new normal, and as Harish did mention about a few of the aspects of emotional intelligence, the few of the aspects of health, few of the aspects which are critical on the cognitive skills are extremely important with today's times. And I'm sure management education is also geared up to take it all in their curriculum as we go with our discussion now. With regard to management education, I think critical amongst anything and anything is how a student can be developed in a holistic manner. And these aspects which you mentioned definitely come under the preview of the holistic development of a student. Most important, I think I should suggest to students while we are speaking here is one is before they think about management education, they should absolutely have a clear focus as to which domain or where their heart or their liking belongs to. In fact, a lot of students, when they come for counseling, they always ask as to how do I get into healthcare, while I have done something in the past in BSc or maybe something in chemistry, biology, which they specialize. We also have courses on healthcare management of the recent past, which is very critical, and that is adding great value to management education in that space. There are other areas which are rural management, which is another big avenue which is coming up now. The focus being rural, local, local to global. I think most of the focus will be on rural India, and students henceforth should also look at this rural management courses, which are quite popular in India, and which generally people ignore. Very few from the rural side come and join, but then I think there's enough and enough from the urban or any other student who is aspiring to get back and do as much in that particular space. And of course, there are courses like design thinking, innovation, which is getting into space now. Emerging technologies is one which is very critical. And anybody from the engineering side who wants to get into technology and management, I think there are enough and enough courses which one has to look at. There are courses also on design and innovation, which I just spoke, that is gaining a lot of momentum. Next element which corporates are looking forward is how do we spend CSR funds? I think that is another element of managing CSR funds, a big avenue which is coming up. Analytics, as you all know, is coming under emerging technologies, but talking about business analytics per se, every student would get into this particular course going forward. And I'm sure, business schools are all gearing up to these courses as well. So that's a broad base I thought I'll start with. If you have any further discussion, I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you so much. I think the crux of what you said is for every sector, every segment, there is a management skill that can be accrued. Right now, you were saying
Absolutely.
Healthcare is a specific segment, a specific skill. Now you're saying there is a management that is tailor-made to manage healthcare.
Absolutely.
There are also management studies which is tailor-made for rural businesses and so on and so forth, which is very good. I think that should add a lot of value to the youngsters who are hearing us. A quick question, again, back to Harish. Are there really gaps with respect to what you're seeing from MBA grads to what is actually happening actually required by the industry? What are the current gaps?
Honestly, Jairaj, that's probably a very tough question to answer, right? So I believe that the Indian education is very deep rooted, right? And it
Indian
basically
education is
starts
Deep
very
rooted.
deep rooted,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it basically starts from the basics, right? Irrespective of where the generation is basically moving by, right? So, and honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm a very strong believer of this concept of mutation, right? And I feel that every passing generation that basically comes by is basically coming forward is smarter than the previous one, right? So, with that particular bit, right, keeping that particular perspective, I feel that when education is being imparted to people, they basically embrace it in a much in different manners, right? Completely depends upon the individual skill set of a particular individual and the interest that an individual basically carries. So if you talk about the specific gaps that I basically see today, honestly, I don't see a gap in the education system or the knowledge that people carry towards now. But definitely, there is a change in the perspective of the generation that is basically upcoming. They are more open to choice, right? They are more keen to explore, right? Which was very different from the generation that I was in or the previous generations before me, right? So that openness to choice is basically giving them the opportunity to explore more, to discover more, to see what the world has to offer them. And when that basically happens, they get basically instilled into certain aspects which are of the specific interest, and that's how they tend to excel, right? Now, in comparison to this, if you see the previous generations, what basically was happened is the core goal for a particular individual at that point of time was to basically provide for his family or get a particular job, right? So to basically meet that particular need, you were self-developing yourself with the experience that you gained while working, right? That's how you basically moved forward, right? It's that is very different at this point in time. So the expectation that the past generation leaders need to have with the upcoming generation is to basically understand what that particular individual skill set lies in, and then guide and use that particular skill set towards the benefit of the organization. So that's how I see it's moving. So I would never term it as a gap. I would basically see it as an opportunity for different individuals to develop in different aspects.
Yeah. So let me get Nikon online. Nikon, why did you take MBA? What are you specializing in right now? And what do you expect? So now you have an industry specialist here. You can possibly uh, tell us what you expect from industry and what is it that you feel is the gap you're feeling about it, the gap in the current system that you have.
So I'll start with my what I'm specializing right now. So I'm doing my Pgdm in finance and marketing. So I did my UG also in about financing, and I really loved everything about finance. But then right now, at the stage where I am looking for a job or where I think, okay, I should maybe work for a year, I'm in a situation where I do not have that assurance. So that is one of my major problems right now. Like even after getting internships, we couldn't go for it because of the entire problem we are facing right now. So that happened to my internship. So what is the problem which I would be facing in the future? And the market also would be giving me the same answer. Should I expect the same treatment, or should I upskill, or should I still keep searching for jobs?
Right. So who would want to answer that?
Yeah, one is Nikon. This is a temporary phase, as you know, and the industry is also struggling because of the situation which happened in the past 3-4 months. We also are aware that there's a big, as per my reading and research, definitely Indian economy will be on the U curve, U curve of recovery. With regard to your SIP, a lot of companies have refused, delayed. A lot of joinings have been delayed. So this is one temporary phenomenon. But nonetheless, if I have to tell you, you can take up any research of your own, ask your faculty to mentor during these times. And this is precisely what we did in our own institution. What we did is every faculty has been given few students to mentor during this time, and a project has been defined between the student and the faculty of the choice of a student. And this mentorship has happened for last 2 months, and students have definitely got into a summer internship. A few of them who could not, they got into this summer internship project report. I think one is you should challenge yourself with regard to which project you can take up, so that which is most difficult for you, and how can you get the learnings put together along with your faculty mentor. In fact, when I'm talking about networking, I'm sure Akash must have spoken about it. If not, I should mention one important thing of importance of networking while you are a student, right? We in Wellinger definitely encourage a lot of students to get to various forums, be it NHRD, National Human Resource Development Network, where if you are an HR student, I think I should advocate and tell the HR students to be there. For one reason, that they organize some beautiful programs, monthly programs, and now though it's become fortnightly because of the access to internet, and because of this pandemic. And everybody wants to do a webinar where everybody wants to express and give his thoughts. And believe me, we have in our career management cell cafe career, career cafe program. Then we have a brunch with the boss. We just requested, not that we did, students themselves requested and said, can you come on board? Can you come on the webinar and discuss about what are the current things and the future trending aspects with regard to finance or any specialization per se. So how can you build, you as a community of students, you as a community of faculty, the placement cell, and ensure that you get these people on board? And while you ask a lot of questions to them, and while they speak about on the webinars, believe me, you get a lot of insights as to where you're going to be positioning yourself in the forthcoming months. I mean, don't worry about placements. I think I personally feel that placement should be the last thing you should think about. But then how do you prepare yourself? How do you network with people? How do you speak about? How do you question continuously with them? I think these abilities which you showcase will definitely get you a lot of connects, and thereby get you a definite job. So going forward, while we at Wellinger also do a lot of these networking aspects, getting to NHRD, CII, BCIC, FICCI, all the fantastic forums which are available, we ensure that the students volunteer. We send them for the weekly meetings, monthly meetings. They just be with those professionals out there, and this rub-off effect, which I like to speak about, network makes you create your net worth, is one of the key things a student, aspiring management student, should do. I mean, in the first year, most of us don't know which specialization we would get into, right? You must also have had that problem. For you, you did your graduation in, and your inclination was finance, so you are very well settled. But many of the students don't really know which specialization and which job, which company, which sector should they focus on. I personally feel, having done a lot of research in-house, while you are at home, while you have a lot of time, I think research is one key element a student should get into to understand the sectors, understand, various CEO forums or CEO messages which come often. And I should suggest one thing, Jairaj, to many students, faculty, or the students who are actually doing MBA, that there are various surveys which are done of CEOs in the world, in India, India-centric and across the globe. This is called Global CEO Survey. IBM does that very often. Ernst & Young does that. PwC, KPMG, Deloitte. And if you see the CEOs who talk about what is the requirement of me about my team members for tomorrow. I mean, what is the workplace of tomorrow? I mean, these are insights which are very deep-rooted, problem statements of the CEO with regard to people, technology, regulation. It could be anything to do with geopolitical issues, etc., which a student should know. I mean, having known that, you get deeper insights as to what is a business, the big picture around you, how businesses really get impacted. And that's how you can navigate through your research and your mentorship with your faculty and get to your dream job. So I can talk about this.
Excellent points.
I think students can ask me more questions.
Yeah, excellent question. Excellent answer, Dr. Anil. Research, networking, understanding companies in general and where you fit in is right up the alley. Harish, question back to you on the same. What do you suggest him to do?
No, absolutely.
In terms of really hard skills as well, I mean, you are a proponent of soft skills and competency. I get that. But would you also put in a little bit about hard skills? What is your expectation from a fresh MBA at this point of time?
See, honestly, when you hire a fresher and basically get the when you hire a fresher,
all right. The first part of the question was, sorry to interrupt. What should Nikon do now in addition to what Dr.
Okay, so the answer to that is, I don't believe in the concept of stocking up your arsenal with all the weapons that you have, right? So the point is, if you're not able to use that, there's no point in stocking up your arsenal, right? Okay. It's about using those weapons in the right manner and at the right time. And honestly, I concur to what what Dr. Anil has basically pointed out is the best way to use is to understand when you need to use what is through networking with people, right? So today, like for example, when I was in my placement route, right, when I was finishing my MBA, I specialized in HR, human resources. So when I was going through my placements, I was basically aiming to get into a particular organization, right? But the choice that people have to make today is, what industry do I get in, right? Along with the organization, right? So that's the point that you need to make, because different aspects that go around the world, there's different impacts, whether it be economic slowdown or whether it be some kind of a recession that basically comes in, or for example a pandemic. You basically need to understand what are those situations basically bringing an impact to different industries, right? That's how you basically would want to focus on. That's another point I would say that you would want to focus on going forward, right? Focus on the industry that you want to join, right? Then secondly, you basically gauge what is your skill set, what are you good at, what are you personally good at, and what you personally like to do, right? And then within that particular industry, look out for particular opportunities. And honestly, trust me, again, I concur to what Dr. Anil said. This is just a phase, right? The requirement for human beings to perform a job is never ending, right? It's not going to go away at any point in time. Even in the future, when AI comes in or something comes in, the requirement for human beings to do a particular job is going to still exist, right? We need to understand that particular fact, right? And this is just a phase. So when people are, when organizations today are taking decisions to lay off people, there are also hiring happening in the back end for certain particular positions, right? So it's basically a give and take, right? So this is never going to end. So look out for those particular stuffs. Don't get busy in filling up your arsenal, right? Identify that you basically would like to do in the future, right? Concentrate on that, focus on that, network with people who basically have done that kind of work, look at companies that basically provide opportunities for doing that kind of works, and you will basically find a way through.
Perfect. So cool. So let me summarize what Dr. Anil and Harish said. In these times, understand what you're good at. Do your bit of research with respect to what is available around there. Understand which industry would suit your skill set. I mean, I think that is the critical element. What are you good at? Your identification of what you're good at. Understanding about which industry your skills really relate to. And of course, do a lot of research with respect to, including your faculty, and do research on things that you're not really comfortable on at this point of time. And I think the keyword both of them said was network. Network with peers, your seniors, your alumni. Um, get into organizations like NHRD. Figure out and what you need to do. Right?
Jairaj, I just
Yeah.
want to add one more point of here. It's from the experience that it's from my personal experience, right? So people relate easier to experiences of other people. So that's why I want to just
Perfect.
put forward this, right? So when I was specializing in the field of HR, right, at that point in time, HR was a particular function, right? Nobody ever thought that HR could basically get split into different verticals, right?
Absolutely.
That's the big change that basically brings in. So for me, now HR is just one vertical that you can focus on, right? Within HR, you can basically focus on compensation and benefits. You can focus on learning and development. You can focus on organization development, right? You can focus on talent acquisitions, right? You can focus on employee engagements and rewards. So this is how the world is basically growing. This is how the world is basically opening into. So if you're specializing in finance, finance is a very big envelope, right? Try and open that envelope and find out different verticals that exist in finance and what you exactly want to do. And trust me, organizations today are expanding that envelope, opening up that envelope to create those verticals and find and looking for experts who are focusing on that particular thing, right? So to just tell you, in my 12 years of experience, I have done work in labor. I've done work with labor compliances, industrial relations. I have done organizational development. I went into the field of consulting. I have done mergers and acquisitions. I have represented over 35 global deals that basically have happened and offered, HR support to clients globally, right? On different aspects. And today I basically handle the vertical of compensation and reward. So if you ask me, what am I good at, what I actually want to do, I have taken a taste of all these things, but the position that I am today is something that I was always looking forward to. Compensation benefits. So that's a very small part of HR then, but today it has grown up to a level that has created a function within itself. So
Good.
so things
Thank
are
you.
changing.
Yeah. Thank you, Harish. I would, if there is time later on, I would like to come back to this question about, do you need to deep dive or do you need to generalize? So
Yeah.
that's a pet peeve. So maybe if we have time, we'll come back to it. Nikon, anything further that you would like to ask?
Yeah. So I would also like to know, right now, there are freshers who are looking for a job, and there are also people who are laid off and they're also looking for a job. And also this entire chase is being overtaken by something known as AI. So who will be winning it at the end? Is it the layoffs, or is it the freshers, or is it the AI?
Question
Okay,
is
let me
open, I
take
think.
up that. Let
Yeah.
me take up that question just to roll the ball in, right? It's not a competition. It's not a race that you're basically running, right? Every position that basically opens in an organization has certain skill set attached to it. So that's why I have said how, for example, if you take HR as a function, how it has developed, right? Earlier, there was one particular position that gets open, and you basically find your best incumbent. Today, that's not the scenario. When a position basically gets opened in a particular organization, there are certain skill sets and certain qualificational requirements that get attached to it. So, for example, if it's a fresher position, you don't have the scope for AI, or you don't have the scope for a laid off person to basically fill that position. It's a position for a fresher, and a fresher basically gets appointed on that. And that's why even institutions today get engaged with organizations to basically offer that placement opportunities. Because like for example, let's say let's basically take and I'm going to give you general statistics because those can be easily related to. If you take in an annual if you take an annual placement scenario, right, that happens in A listed institutions, right? Now there are now let's take KPMG for an example. I basically worked in KPMG for almost 3 years. So in KPMG during a particular annual year, there are thousands of campus placements that are being done. Now that means there are 1,000 opportunities in a year that one organization basically offers. Now these 1,000 positions are filled only by freshers. They are not filled by any laid off employer or any AI, right? So that's what I'm saying. Every requisition that basically opens in an organization is attached to the requirement of the incumbent that needs to fulfill that particular this thing. So you don't need to worry about that. No, requisitions basically get created, so it's not basically a race. Everything has a different requirement.
Cool. Thank you, Harish. See, okay, so we are running a little short of time, so we would need to hurry up. Cool. The point is that for different skill sets, different experience, there are different jobs that are available. So it is not really competing with each other. Neither are the layoffs, nor the freshers, nor the AI, right? Anil Rao sir, would you want to add anything to it quickly?
Yeah, I think, should I talk about the deep dive generalization, or that is coming?
No, that I'll get that a little.
Okay. I personally feel I did mention about, if you are worried about AI, automation, I mean, these are going to take their own, routes, and they're going to get into the business for sure. And India per se requires it all, looking at a lot of the way the businesses have been dealt, the government organizations have been functioning. I think very many emerging technologies will get into a place to increase the efficiency levels. But when it comes to jobs, I think human beings have to be there. I think there is enough and enough for any one of us to occupy that space of jobs. As Harish mentioned, if somebody leaves, somebody comes to that job. It's not that it's going to be vacant. Moreover, with a lot of these emerging technologies, will be new set of jobs which are going to come. And I think there is some statistics, many of them have quoted, saying that there'll be new jobs. I mean, in the past 3-6 years, the jobs you were thinking about will no more be the jobs. They are totally new set of jobs coming in. So,
Dr. Anil, I would like to have a list of those. While you have that ready, I will quickly ask Akash a question.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So maybe at the end of it, if you can just refer back and say what are the new jobs that are being available in management,
Sure.
compared to last, it will be great for the listeners. Akash,
Yes, sir.
okay, now you've been working for 5 years. Can you tell me
3 years.
3 years? Sorry, can you tell the audience? Can you tell us what would have been better if you were taught? Let's say if you were taught something extra in your college, it would have helped you deal with the so-called corporate life better.
Right.
Don't worry that Dr. Anil is there, but you can.
Yeah, he should tell. We want it to improve.
Right. So to be very honest with you, my profile, which I work in the treasury. Now, when someone or a normal common man will hear the word treasury, he or she will feel it's just playing with money or dealing on behalf of the bank. But that is just one aspect of a treasury. What I completely do, what my role is, automation of these processes. Now, to do any kind of automation or create an artificial intelligence, you need to know how to play with something which is extremely important in today's time, which is called data. As Mr. Mukesh Ambani says, data is the new oil for the world. I think every management institution should now focus, be it whatever stream or specialization you are in, be it marketing, finance, HR, how to analyze data and how to master the use of Microsoft Excel or SAS or maybe an SQL. These applications are no more going to be restricted to only engineers. I myself work with the technology team of ICICI Bank, in which I am knowing how to code things. As the student professional over here rightly asked, will AI take over jobs? Well, AI is not going to take over jobs. It is a human that is going to make this artificial intelligence. It is you and me who are going to code things or who are going to help in automation of things. So I think the focus should be more on how do you analyze data, how do you interpret that data, and again, Microsoft Excel, SQL, these are something which every organization wants. To be honest, when I joined in 2018 ICICI Bank, I did not have that knowledge what my peers and what my colleagues in the organization have with using a simple Microsoft Excel as well. So somewhere I thought if that was given more importance to in my college, it would have been quicker and more helpful for me to adapt to my daily job profile. Obviously, I've been very lucky. My colleagues and my boss have been really grateful in helping me learn all of this. While obviously on the job training is important, but at this point where we are today, use of such applications will not be on the job always. You need to have this skill set. You need to know, because it's like a finance job. Someone who's specializing in finance is not just going to get a traditional finance job of doing a financial balance sheet analysis or to just do accounting. You already have robotics made, you already have machines which will do that analysis for you. Even if I am in a credit, for example, I'm somewhere in a credit department, my computer is going to help me make that decision whether I need to give a loan to someone or whether I not give a loan to someone. So again,
Okay.
how do you do that? You need to know how to play with data, how to play with big numbers.
So what you're saying is, for any segment of management studies that you do,
Yes,
you are of the opinion that there should be more of data analytical skills
absolutely,
that
absolutely.
each person should have, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Because that
Cool.
is what
Point taken.
every organization wants. They expect you when you come. Their basic expectation is he knows how to use these applications very well. He knows how
Point
to
taken.
play with big numbers.
Fair enough. Dr. Anil, a question to you.
Yeah.
This is not specific to Wellington. This is especially specific to a lot of management schools out there. There are quite a bit of them, first year, second year, third year, whatever. We all said there need to be alumni, there need to be network, there need to be an industrial connect. Are these things happening in reality? In currently, are these things happening
Yes, yes.
across colleges, across industries?
See, with the internet and technology, which is and the mobile, which is beautifully there for everybody, and adaptation of that by each and every one of the alumni or a student uh, is getting everybody together is one. So you must have also noticed, Harish and Jairaj, that suddenly you get calls from your friends and saying that can you join? We have a alumni meet of this school, alumni meet of this college, third college where you are, and the network is growing. So I personally feel with connectivity which is around all of us, and a lot of it has already started. There is a clear purpose getting into place for all the alumni. One is how best they can give back to the institution where they belong to. Second is how best they can help the students of the alma mater where they belong to. So I think this being it, it's an effort which one has to do constantly to ensure that they update and be with the alumni. The worry is a lot of institutions have alumni associations, but they don't function. Once in a year they have a party and that's it, but that doesn't
So
work.
let me rephrase. What do you advise other institutions to do? Your point is essentially to the students out there. So if I were to ask you to possibly give a suggestion to institutions, what would you give?
Yeah, institution, of course, everybody is garnering this particular thought of alumni networking, and that will really play a very key role to the institution to connect not only with the alumni, their networks which they have. Recently, just to give you an update, we had this career cafe which we did, and we invited a lot of our alumni to talk about it, because when alumni and the students, senior students talk to the current or the any of the batches, the connect is very fast. They talk about their journey, Whereas if gray hair like us talk about, they say these people have to talk a lot, but then they connect with the youngsters very fast. I think a lot of continuous association activities, and now with this COVID times, I think we are all connected. We have enough time. We don't spend time on traffic, etc. So everybody can get in webinars, connectivity, and there is where Nikan, I can assure you that you can definitely connect with a lot of alumni, doing yourself or challenging your team members, your own, collaborate with your students, and then say, boss, can we have an alumni meet of batch wise, for example, what we do in Wellinger, I mean, Akash, you were aware that we had this alumni cricket tournaments,
Yes.
alumni football tournaments, and whatnot. Whenever the alumni wants to come, he's given a red carpet treatment. And I am sure everybody wants to gear up to come to Wellinger. That's how you really create an ecosystem, and that's the advice I should give to the institutions around, saying that's going to be a network with great net worth coming into you. If you see Harvard and various other organizations where even Indians like Anand Mahindra and all have contributed immensely to the corpus, I mean, and specific programs. In fact, forget about Harvard. Even in IIM Ahmedabad, where one of the CEOs I know, Manish from Indigen, I mean, we stay in the same premise, and when we do some walks and all, he says, Anil, I'm on the committee. I'm contributing immensely, not on money front, but the knowledge, and the resources which he gets is immense. I think that's the way.
What do you think, both to Anil and to Harish, is the curriculum that's being taught relevant? Is that, again, it is not specific to Wellinger, and it's specific to, the rest.
I'll take this one. It's close to my heart for sure with regard to curriculum, what you do in the campus and how do you really create value to a student. I mean, that's our endeavor always. And also at the same time, how do you create capability, capacity building within our faculty? It's not that, we just talk about it and then we don't really build the capacity. Just for information, we also have a program called Global Citizen Leadership in our campus. And this is actually very finely, done by CCL and Design Impact of US, which is one of the internationally well-known leadership, institutes. So I think Akash was part of it, and I'm sure this particular GCL project is binding all the students, faculty together for a particular live project. So the industry gives us live projects, and then we work towards it and ensure that we build a lot of solutions to the industry. What we also do, we have an exhibition at the end of 6 months, and it is part of the curriculum. So it is an amazing, aspect of what we do. I personally feel a lot of these youngsters, students who want to get to management, they all want to do, live projects, and they sign up with somebody and don't end up learning as well. So we thought as an institution, we should get to this particular agenda, get the projects on the table. We got, in fact, 33 projects last year from various industries, and industry mentor is very specifically assigned to us along with the faculty. So it's not only that the students learn, even the faculty members get to, building their own capabilities, and their capacity is built in the institution. So coming to this point of whether the curriculum is good enough, I definitely know, and everybody of us know, 30 years of curriculum in universities, I mean, it's just being done as a process. It's like working in silos. Now with the new education policy, I'm sure each one of you have learned about it. It's going to throw such a big open end, not only to the students who are aspiring to get into management while they finish their courses or some education, but even the non-traditional student, the wives, housewives who frankly do want to study, they can enter anytime, exit anytime, enter anytime, and at their pace, the education is going to happen. Such a beautiful thing. Curriculum is going to be absolutely, intertwined with the industry. Much more is coming up, and I'm really happy that the government has introduced this at a right moment where we should gear up for it.
So if I were to take one point out from what you said, one very key thing for the institutions to take care of is live projects from industry, working very, very closely with industry and figuring out what they want, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Harish, would you want to add anything to it? I think we are reaching our end of time. So quickly, if you can tell me, and then quickly your viewpoint about deep diving and broad basing. Also, there was a question from a participant about EQ versus IQ and which is better. So you may we are rushing for time, so you may need to encapsulate it pretty fast.
Sure, absolutely. So, on the education or the curriculum bit, I completely concur to what Dr. Anil basically mentioned, and he's basically more closer to the education system, and we are basically witnessing how it is changing today, right? So, I don't have any additional comments to basically add to that particular point, but then
Okay.
yes, obviously, I have seen a great level of change that basically has happened in the curriculum over the time when I was basically a student, and as compared to people who are graduating out of these schools today, right? So they're more keen about knowing what's happening in the world. They are more keen about networking with people. They are more keen about doing certain case studies on certain big management decisions that has happened across the global organizations, right? So I think that's the ability that is getting generated today through education, right? The ability to explore more, the ability to network with people. That's how the education system
Cool.
is basically shaping up individuals today.
Your point about deep dive versus general.
Deep dive versus general, so it's a phased process, right? So when you're basically starting up your career, you don't focus on deep diving, right? You basically focus on understanding what you're basically doing, then explore opportunities for doing a deep dive, right? So, and that basically comes with experience. If you ask me what is the right time to do it, honestly, there is no right time to do it. It's basically happens at the pace in which you're learning what you're basically working, right? Once you've learned what you basically work. So we basically refer to this concept of learning curve, right? So when your learning curve is at the steepest point, is basically we assume that we know what we are actually doing. We completely know what we're actually doing. And that's the point where you start exploring what else I can do. And that's where the concept of deep diving comes in, right? So it is very so it's like teaching a soldier how to fight a war, but unless he fights a war, he doesn't know what exactly needs to be done,
Very well said.
right? So it's the same concept.
Dr. Anil, adding on to it, deep dive versus general, what are the new jobs that are available now? And I think we will then have to wind up with
Yeah.
respect to that.
So with regard to deep dive, I think we should talk about the T-shaped learning. And management education talks about T-shaped learning. T-shape is, the broad perspective of each and every element of management, which you should understand. And get deeper into where your liking is, which I did mention some time back. So I think for a student, if one has to get into deep dive, he should first get into the broader aspects, deep research as to what all are available, read the survey reports, understand what is the dynamics of the business and the society at large, the government's initiatives, etc. And then get deeper into where your interest lies. So there I'll park it there as my statement. With regard to, you spoke about intelligent quotient and EQ. I think the pandemic has given enough and enough on the, EQ front. And each one of us is definitely, tuned towards what do we do for the community, for the family, for the organization. And definitely, you have a clear focus. With regard to jobs, which you mentioned, what are the new jobs which are getting into? Akash did mention about various jobs on data. I think data is the new oil. And with regard to getting deeper into knowing about data, how do you churn the data, how do you analyze it, how do you get decisions from the data? You have various tools nowadays. And I think each and every specialization has, in fact, Nikon, if you have to do financial analytics, please get into this. I mean, for one reason, that there's enough and enough in the market. Because of pandemic, believe me, a lot of people have given freebies. I mean, Harvard University, MIT, name the university. I mean, in fact, Wellinger also. We did one program on HR analytics recently for 5,000 rupees. I mean, that's my market for a management development program. We charge close to 27,500 rupees, right? And you can deep dive into these particular things and see your niche where you can actually lead towards. So coming to the point, data is definitely one I think one has to get to
You're talking about new career opportunities. Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
new jobs, new
Jobs.
career
Okay, cool,
opportunities.
cool. Yeah, okay.
At fintech companies, enough is being done. E-commerce companies, many on the supply chain, about their dynamics, about their technology usage. A lot of people can also look at platforms. I think in the education space itself, if you have seen the NEP, National Education Policy, where government is looking at 100% of gross enrollment ratio from the school level, and then 50% in, my Mr. Prime Minister Honorable Modi ji had mentioned about 2035 should have at least 50-60% of GER, gross enrollment ratio, in higher education. I mean, that will only happen when you get into technology. I mean, no other thing but technology. So understanding the various platforms which are available, I think that is a new skill which one has to develop. You also have to look at a lot of government jobs. I mean, with these new technologies, new skills, new platforms coming in play, and we getting used to it, I think a lot of these government employees who are fag end of their careers, and that is a majority, will be replaced with the youngsters. And there's enough and enough to do in this particular area. If you think about NGOs, I think enough and enough will be done in the NGO front. CSR funds are enormous in companies, almost 30-40,000 crores unutilized every year. I mean, if that has to be actually thought about, I think the finance teams have to come in play. The project management team has to come in place. I think enough and enough place. So youngsters, if I have to talk about where we should get into is, please get into these hackathons. A lot of companies nowadays are getting into hackathons, because they have a problem statement. And the youngsters should look out as many hackathons they can get into. So when they get into a hackathon, they primarily get into groups, which are formed from various, areas of expertise, and they actually contribute very well to the problem statement. I think recently we had this Smart India Hackathon, which was one of the phenomenal program which the government of India is doing for the last 4 years or 5 years now. This is a fourth one which they conducted. And believe me, these hackathons are giving way to new entrepreneurs, new jobs, and new thought processes. So if you students who are existing, who are actually wanting to get into management education or engineering, etc., they should participate in the hackathons. And even in colleges, it is getting compulsory now that you should have hackathons, you should have problem statements, and you should also have incubation and innovation labs, which is going to get compulsion to institutions across India by the government of India. And believe me, each and everybody is gearing up for this. You should actually get to this Innovation Council sessions, which happen every Saturday, I believe, done by Mr. Jere. And he's one of the directors. And he involves a lot of these entrepreneurs to come talk about their journey, and there's enough and enough learning which students can get from there. So that's about element which is coming up. The last point I would like to talk about is the gig economy. I mean, don't talk about jobs. I mean, think about what skill sets you will, as Harish did mention, as many skills you just, imbibe into yourself, into your DNA. And believe me, when you do that, you will be offered not a job, you'll be offered an assignment, and that'll be quite precious. I mean, and continuously you'll be getting various assignments. You can be a freelancer doing as many gig jobs coming on your way. So I personally feel even to faculty members, if you're really good in teaching and collaborating with a lot of people, you can as well embrace the gig economy, which is going to be large enough for tomorrow.
That is brilliant, because if organizers permit, that was the last question that I really had to ask. What is in the future for management graduates? Is this job or entrepreneurship? What would you recommend?
With the priority of the government and the institutions which I just spoke, which is going to be compulsory. And I personally feel, in fact, if I have to tell you about our own organization, Wellinker has this business design and innovation course, a 2-year course. And that talks about nothing about specialization, nothing about marketing, HR, finance, but getting straight into a model of design thinking approach to learning. And that has been amazing. Believe me, these are the students who get absorbed within no time. As soon as the companies come, they say, you have this course, the students can actually apply. And when they apply, they're the first one to get to. For one reason, that they learn the problem statement and how they can actually work towards approaching towards a solution. And this is a group work which they do. And I think this is a beautiful program which we have. When I'm coming to this program, we also have this innovation and prototype lab in a business school like us. I don't think anywhere you must have seen a prototype lab where you actually go and dirty your hands and try to create products or some ideas into reality. So this is what we have in Wellinger, and I'm sure now that the government has done innovation lab and incubation lab, which is compulsory, these activities are going to be playing a key role. So the entrepreneur's journey is going to be easy in institution itself while you're doing MBA. And with the NEP, which is there in play, the new education policy, you'll have a lot of flexibility, a lot of choices, which you will get to going forward. So entrepreneurship is the next journey.
So what you're essentially saying is skills related to entrepreneurship is what is required. You may choose to go and do a job in the initial times, but that is what companies also look at as a skill, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Harish, would you want to add on to that, and then we can summarize?
So I think fairly, Dr. Anil has encompassed all that particular bit, right? What organizations are basically looking for, what's the expectation, whether gig economy or not. So for me, if you ask me that particular question with respect to whether being employed or self-employment / gig economy, right? I would basically say taste both the juices, right? You get to do what you're basically good at, right? So it's a personal choice according to me, and nobody basically forces you to basically get into a job or get into a self-employment. What you need to do is you need to basically do a SWOT analysis. When you say what's a SWOT analysis, strength, opportunities, threats,
Brilliant.
right? Yeah, so you do a SWOT analysis of what is it for you when you're performing a particular job against what is it for you when you're doing a self-employment, right? So do you basically do you basically feel like, for example, let's say, do you feel basically protected when you have a guaranteed source of income versus an income based on assignments, right? So that's how you basically try and do what is important for you, right? What you're basically good at, taste both the juices, whichever suits you, you basically do that, because the world has a lot to offer, and honestly, what we are in today is just a phase.
Cool, perfect. So so was there anything to be added?
That's it. I think perfect.
Yeah, cool.
In fact, one point which I would like to add, Jairaj, is I talk to my students, my faculty, or even the management. I think you should create value proposition. And that is very critical for anybody who is getting to a job, getting into an entrepreneurship journey. What is that new thing which you will add as value? And I mean, and Nixon, if I have to talk about this, in this time when you are looking at jobs as your priority, what value you will get to for the job? What is that new skill sets you have added within you? And I think what is the research, deep research which you have done, so that you can project it very confidently to wherever you go for your job opportunities. I think value creation is very critical, is what I can say.
So with all, okay, it was a brilliant discussion. I think our organizers were also a little bit impressed because I think they've given us a little extra time. Nobody has popped in between. So let me summarize. There are 5 questions that we were supposed to answer. I will lead, and then if I've missed out something, you can just add on to it. The first one was, what do we need to get better at? So from whatever I've heard, we individually, students, need to get better at identifying your own skills. You should be better at doing deep diving into industries, figuring out what industry suits you better, and how you match your skills with the industry and the offering in that industry. Right. Second was, what are the skills that an individual need to develop? So there was a little bit of discussion there. I think the hard skills that they were looking at were more of analysis, data analysis, maybe deep diving into a particular segment, finding out what an issue is, your ability to do that in that sense. Maybe the tools, a better knowledge of tools that helps analyze better. So that is definitely a hard skill that the organizations and the current economy is looking at. In terms of soft skills, which is not readily taught, but which is deemed necessary, are adaptability in very high scale, because adaptability is the keyword now. Over the last 3-4 months, a lot of business models have changed, have adapted. Those who have not adapted has died. As Darwin said, it is the most adaptive animal that survives, right? So adaptability, leadership skills, a better emotional quotient is what we look at with respect to soft skills. The new career opportunities that are available. So that is the third point. There are quite a bit of career opportunities available in data, anything that is related to the data. It is oft repeated that data is the new petroleum. Did I quote that correctly? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. So they swear by data and your ability to analyze data, which is applicable in fintech organizations, e-commerce organizations. Surprisingly, I got input like there are quite a bit of career opportunities likely to open up in government jobs.
Yep.
I didn't know that, for example, NGOs, which is quite an eye opener. There are quite a bit of CSR funds which runs into multiple crores, which needs management oversight, understanding of various platforms. These are the new career opportunities. We're not really endeavoring to figure out sector, because we think that depending on your skills, depending on your ability, you should find out the segment and industry that suits you. But yeah, there are quite a bit of openings in fintech and e-commerce and all that stuff. With respect to input to education, I think one of the best thing that came out was more of industry connects. So we exhort, we request institutions across to do more about connecting with industry. We hope that the new MEP and the curriculum itself suffices what an industry needs, but what is lacking is the industry connect. So hopefully they should work more on that. And there was this interesting question about what is the future? Is it job or self-employment? The answer is quite interesting. You may choose a job or being an entrepreneur. That depends on your ability, your liking, your understanding. But what organizations need are those people with an entrepreneurial bent, an understanding, an overall understanding about how you contribute to business. How does business work in the first place? What are the different functions within a business, and how you as an individual can make an impact in that business? So you can either do your business by yourself, or you can be employed and bring in that skill. With that, I think that's a pretty good summary to what we were.
I just want to add one last thing. I'll just take
Sure.
30 seconds. Like you rightly said, the second point, adaptability, along with that being extremely flexible for especially Nikon, the student who is with us. It is extremely important for you to be very flexible when you're applying for your job. There is no guarantee that if a bank or any FMCG company is hiring you for a finance job or a marketing job, or because that company deals into financial products, it is not necessary that you will be given that core job. It is extremely important to be flexible in whatever is offered to you, because that is the way you will adapt and learn new skills on the job. You cannot just be rigid. If I am working in a bank, means I have to deal with only a banking product. So
Brilliant.
being flexible is extremely important in today's time, because someone who's hiring you wants to make the most use out of you, not just what you've studied, but you have to learn and adjust to every situation and every problem that is thrown upon you.
I think that matches with flexibility should match with your understanding of the industry and the business in general.
Yes.
Only then, as you very rightly said, a fintech by itself will have a product which is getting developed, will have a retail selling which is there. There would
Right.
be a commercial thing. There would be a lending platform that they may build. The opportunities are varied within the same company.
Right.
Very well said. So with that, we come to the end of this discussion. It was great talking to all of you. Harish, thank you. Dr.
Yep.
Anil, thank you as always. You're brilliant.
Thank you.
Akash, Nikon, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
Over to the
Jairaj. Thank you so
organizations.
much. Thank you so much for moderating this session so smoothly. We all have a lot to think about. All of you gave us a lot of inputs, and even if we are over time a bit, it was an amazing, endearing session, I would say. So thanks a lot for all of you to joining us today, and hope you have a great day ahead, and hope to see you all sometime soon in between all this. So thank you so much.
Stay
Thank you.
safe. Do take care.
Thank
of
you very
yourself.
much.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yes.
And sorry for joining in late, Jairaj.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
You
pleasure.
made it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Jairaj. Good
Pleasure.
session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Dr.
Bye. Take care.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Bye.
I have a few announcements for the audience right now. Now we'll be having a quiz video played up for you.
Hi friends, this is Quizmaster Pigbrain, and I'm here to encourage you to take part in the YCC. Hi friends, this is Quizmaster Pigbrain, and I'm here to encourage you to take part in the YCC Industry Awareness Quiz. Well, you're certainly enjoying the panel discussions as much as I have been dropping in and enjoying those. But this quiz is a lovely idea for you youngsters to try and gauge for yourself on how much of the industry you know. Well, the good thing about the digital medium is you get to know how much you know. No one else gets to know how much you don't know. So, time for you to get started with the Industry Awareness Quiz. Just get on right now. It takes no more than 10 minutes. You'll enjoy it, I assure you that. In my own words, your time starts now.
Thank you, Kiri. Now, as you know, there's an industry awareness quiz, and the prelims are from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. So make sure all of you go and tune into the quiz and attend it. And up next, we have another session lined up for you, which is on manufacturing. So viewers, please do tune in. See you all soon. Take care. Bye.